Welcome everyone, this is Kerjims channel. Now we are back to our new episodes of two similarity champions and comparison, featured by Wild League of Legends versus the Mobile Legend Bang Bang. But before that, please like and subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the bell icon so you will be notified to our new next episode video. Let's do this!
Nami is a water-based offensive support champion who provides increased damage and crowd control capabilities to her team. Whether buffing a teammate's damage output or helping them lead the charge, Nami can help your team ride on a wave of glory. Nami's passive is Surging Tides. Anytime one of her abilities hits an allied champion, including herself, her target briefly enjoys bonus movement speed. Aqua Prison launches a bubble that splashes at target location, damaging and knocking up all enemies it hits. Additionally, it will apply Surging Tides to your teammates, meaning you can haste a friend or knock up an enemy. In solo lanes, Nami should max Aqua Prison first, otherwise take just 1 point and leave it for last. Ebb and Flow bounces, alternating between allied and enemy champions, damaging enemies and healing allies. Ebb and Flow can only hit any target once and hits up to 3 times. Because of this, you'll need to choose between getting 2 heals by targeting an ally or damaging twice by targeting an enemy. Nami should max Ebb and Flow first when playing in paired lanes, or max second when played as a solo. Tidecaller's Blessing buffs an allied champion for a few seconds, causing their basic attacks to deal bonus magic damage and slow their target. Nami should take a point in Tidecaller's Blessing early and look to max it after Ebb and Flow. Tidal Wave is Nami's ultimate. Tidal Wave crashes forward, damaging, knocking up, and slowing all enemies it encounters. As Tidal Wave passes over Nami's teammates, it also applies Surging Tides, helping them chase down their enemies. Like all ultimates, Nami should max Tidal Wave as soon as possible. In paired lanes, focus on harassing with basic attacks into Ebb and Flow. Think about whether you need the third bounce to heal or deal damage. Aim at the enemy champion if you want to deal more damage, or first target an ally if you'd rather have 2 heals. Nami's abilities all work well together when coordinating a game. She applies Tidecaller's Blessing on herself, slowing Katarina. This makes it easy for Udyr to catch up, and once he does, Aqua Prison makes Katarina an easy kill for Ebb and Flow. Nami's allies can become gateways for Ebb and Flow. While the enemy Tidecaller is out of range, Nami targets Lulu with Ebb and Flow, bouncing to the enemy champion for damage. Nami's core focuses should be to grant Tidecaller's Blessing to the main attacker, Ebb and Flow whenever possible, and lead slowed enemies with Aqua Prison. When executed perfectly, you can make extremely quick work with your foes. Extended engagements are Nami's specialty. After taking some initial damage, Ebb and Flow puts Nami back in good condition before Aqua Prison and Tidecaller's Blessing grant Vayne some easy damage onto Leona. As Vayne chases, Nami sits near the back to wait for cooldowns. Ebb and Flow once again tops Vayne off, while another Tidecaller's Blessing helps her continue the assault onto the opposition. Finally, as she goes for the final kill, Aqua Prison into a second Ebb and Flow makes sure Vayne survives the turret dive. Tidal Wave allows Nami to initiate fights from extremely far away. After her team finishes up the dragon, Tidal Wave connects with the enemy Leona. The huge slow makes it incredibly easy to land Aqua Prison, granting her team a quick kill. Rammus is then forced to flash away and initially makes it out of the fight. However, Tidecaller's Blessing helps Gangplank catch up and apply a significant slow to keep Rammus from running, while Aqua Prison keeps Garen and Graves from counterattacking. Nami is the queen of chasing down fleeing enemies and picking up kill after kill. Nami hastes her allies with Tidal Wave, also splitting up the enemy team. This allows them to collapse on the enemy Tidecaller and pick up a quick first kill. As Warwick and Jax chase in, Aqua Prison plus Ebb and Flow grant Sivir some distance. Tidecaller's Blessing is then placed onto Udyr, which prevents any of their opponents from escaping, making the fight a 3-for-1 trade. After Jax falls, Katarina makes the mistake of trying to help. A quick Tidecaller's Blessing into Ebb and Flow makes sure Udyr catches up and takes her down. Now they turn their attention to Graves underneath his turret. Udyr leads the charge as Nami follows in from behind. Tidecaller's Blessing grants a great slow while Ebb and Flow keeps her team healthy in the fight. Ultimately, Graves has nowhere to go as Udyr constantly catches back up for the team's 5th kill. Here's an example build to get you started on Nami, which focuses on supporting a teammate in lane while harassing the opposition. Take attack damage marks, armor seals, magic resist glyphs, and gold generating quintessences. Run 0921 masteries. taking health and armor in defense, plus masteries like gold generation and cooldown reduction in utility. Bring heal or exhaust and flash for summoner spells, allowing you to keep your team alive, neutralize enemies, and reposition yourself in team fights.
She's a very versatile champion, gifted with the ability to play aggressive in lane while looking for kills, or play safe in lane and focus on sustaining. She can also peel for allies with ease, while also having the playmaking potential to have a large impact on team fights. Overall, Nami is just a very well-rounded and solid champion that is perfect for anyone looking to climb the solo queue ladder. Nami's passive is Surging Tide. Whenever Nami casts an ability on an ally, they are granted a burst of movement speed. This isn't something that you have to pay too much attention to, but rather something to just keep in the back of your mind at all times. This can help you get back to lane quicker or run away from enemies. If you're looking to grant movement speed on you as well as your ally, you should cast Q on top of yourself, and if you'd like to grant movement speed to an individual, you should cast E because it costs less mana than your W does. It's a circular skill shot that can be used to send multiple targets airborne. It can be somewhat tricky to land, but devastating when done so. This ability is especially useful in lane, specifically to deny CS under tower, set of ganks, or trade safely behind your minion wave. Create target is already locked down by another form of crowd control is typically most optimal, but of course that won't always be possible. Ebb and flow. This ability heals allies while damaging enemies, and bounces up to 3 times with the effectiveness lowering after each round. When trading, use it on yourself first if your intention is to heal yourself more, and use it on the enemy if you want to do more damage, giving the first bounce will be at its strongest. This can be used aggressively for trading or passively for sustaining. Be sure not to spam it too often in the early game though, or you will run out of mana fairly quick. It is High-Powered Blessing. This ability increases the damage on an ally's next 3 auto attacks, and also allows these auto attacks to apply a small slow. You can use this on yourself in trades by auto attacking, and then casting on yourself while the auto is still in mid-air. Later on into the game, this will turn into more of an ADC steroid, as you ideally want to apply this to your ADC as frequently as possible in teamfights. You can, however, still use this on any champion that auto-attacks frequently, such as a melee champion like Irelia or Camille. Is Tidal Wave. This ability casts a fairly slow and long-range wave that briefly knocks up and slows enemies. The knockup duration will always be the exact same, but the slow following the knockup increases depending on the distance that the wave travels before it connects with an enemy. This is a decent ability by itself, but when comboed with Nami's Q, you can create a pretty solid CC chain. I'll go more in depth as far as how to properly combo these abilities together later on in the video. When it comes to the best rune page on Nami, things are pretty set in stone. For champion guides in the past, I've always done my best to cover every single viable rune page possible for each champion, but in this situation, this is the only rune page that really works for Nami, and it's the only rune page that you will see across the board for both pro players and challenger players. This page starts off in the sorcery page with Aerie being the go-to keystone. Following that, we have Mana Flow Band, Celerity, and Scorch. Aerie is an obvious choice here for most caster supports, given it provides the occasional extra damage or shield. In the earlier stages of the game, this keystone is used to enhance the ability to trade in lane, but later on it is essentially used strictly to help carries stay alive easy. Nami's kit is very flexible, and thus her abilities usually have a decent use at any given time. This causes Nami players to run into mana problems quite often, which is why Mana Flow Band is another obvious choice. This rune will gradually increase Nami's mana pool as the game progresses, allowing her to spam her abilities slightly more often. Celerity is once again another obvious choice. This rune synergizes really well with just about all caster supports, and Nami is no exception. And to wrap up the sorcery page, there is Scorch, which is a useful rune when it comes to applying more damage while looking to pick up early kills in the lane phase. As for the secondary page, I would recommend opting for the Resolve tree with Bone Plating and Revitalize. To the best of my knowledge, Riot doesn't plan on changing up the rune pages too much heading into Season 9, but Bone Plating is one rune that they have already announced that they do have a plan to replace it. That is one rune that may be changed in the future according to this rune page, but for now, Nami can surely get the most of it. And to finish up the rune page, we do have Revitalize, which is just going to help Nami's heal, do a little bit more healing whenever using it on an ally with low health. In just about all of my champion guides, I'm pretty straightforward when it comes to what summoner spells you should be taking on the champion, but when it comes to Nami, they can vary. As I stated earlier in the video, Nami can fit both an aggressive playstyle and a passive playstyle. I prefer, honestly, to play her aggressively and look for kills in lane, thus I would recommend Flash and Ignite. At the same time though, I do understand not everyone feels comfortable with that playstyle, and so if you do plan on playing a passive Nami throughout the lane phase and onto the mid to late game, I would definitely recommend taking Flash and Exhaust, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that as well. Next up, I'd like to cover when Nami is best picked. Nami is a champion who provides a ton of utility, while also packed with something I like to call follow-up engage. Her two abilities that provide crowd control are her Q and her ultimate, and although they are very useful when landed, the animations to both of these abilities are very slow, and thus they can be very easy for the enemy to sidestep. Therefore, Nami is best picked when your team already has hard engage, such as a Zac or Sejuani locked in on your team, because these are the type of champions that can lock down carries, then giving you the window to follow up on the engage and land your crowd control for free, given you are able to time it correctly. This isn't going to be the case 100% of the time, of course, but in a picture-perfect scenario, that is how you would ideally want to play out a fight in game, with your abilities layered on top of an already locked down target. The other scenario that Nami fits very well into is when against assassin champions like Talon or Zed, due to her ability to peel efficiently. Her passive grants allies consistent movement speed, her W provides a heal to outlast burst, and her E applies a small slow. All of these put together can turn any champion into a crazy fast kiting machine, which is the perfect counter to these assassin champions. In my opinion, Nami is one of the best possible supports to pick when on a team with hard engaged champions, so although she does work in both scenarios pretty well, taking advantage of her ability to follow up on engage is definitely the better option. As for when not to pick Nami, it's a little bit more simple. The only time I would recommend not picking Nami is if you are matched up against a hard engaged bot lane, something like a Leona, an Alistar, or Blitzcrank or Thresh. These are champions that have high kill pressure in the early stages of the game, and Nami is fairly immobile, so it can be fairly difficult just to survive in these lane phases. Let's move on now and talk a little bit about the build path for Nami. Spell Thieves and Coin are both seen as very viable starting items for Nami, but Spell Thieves surely has a slight edge. It is seen as the slightly more aggressive option, but if you play Nami properly, you should be able to get the most out of the additional ability power and gold generation that it provides whenever you trade with an enemy. When it comes to buying boots on Nami, we again have two viable options, which are going to be mobility boost and CDR boost. CDR is certainly a valuable statistic for Nami, but as you'll go on to see from the rest of this build path, we do eventually cap off on our CDR, so it isn't necessarily a priority item. Instead, I would recommend getting Mobies as a way to grant bonus movement speed outside of combat and encourage yourself to roam more often. For a very long time, Redemption was my go-to third item on Nami, but after doing a little bit of research, I discovered that Ardent Sensor next in the build path has a slightly higher win rate, believe it or not.